Welcome to the Loveability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Stiers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Loveability Show. You guys know me, Jennifer Stiers. I am here. Somehow, by the grace of God, I am here today. Missed you guys a couple weeks ago with bronchitis. This has really been something. I know so many of you have struggled with that this year too, but it was a booger getting over. So we are through, and I am back. And we always talk about dating, love, relationships, and modern times. But this is a higher level conversation today. I'm glad I have some of my regulars tuned in here. Or somebody already, throwing out a hypothetical, but good question. It's Barrett for today's show. But today's show is really going to be about, especially for you older people, 40s, 50s, 60s, something, it's dating's changed and values have changed in our society and our world. A lot of things have changed in regards to how we see the world and how we see others. And that has changed dating, and it's changed everything else too. But we're going to talk about how it's changed relationships. And it's not just dating. It's all relationships. So that's kind of, it's higher level, bigger conversation, but it matters. And I think I'm one of these people that I ask why a lot. I have to know the why behind everything. And I think once you know the why, you can then come up with the solution. But I know so many of you are frustrated with the landscape of finding love, as you should be. And the good news is, I think with all of this, is that we have evolved. So I think there was a period of time, let's just say my parents, those of us that are older, and our parents were in this generation of these traditional values. You got married, you stayed married for life. The woman had traditional roles of, the family, and the dad working and supporting the family. And I know those values still exist. They do. But they've changed. They've also changed. And in some of them so slowly over time that we may not have even noticed, but it's gotten so drastic now, the world, the way we see things, how relationships are functioning, how connections are happening or not happening. Our values about relationships have changed so much. We've woken up to this new world, and there's so many people now. We've hit this pivotal point. It's really pivotal. Whether you guys realize it or not, this is my business, to understand relationships and trends. And we've hit a pivotal point. That pivotal point is people don't want to do what they've been doing, which is great. So I was going back, talking about our parents, my parents, very traditional. Then we swung to this uber independence, feminine movement, all of that, to where we are now, which is everybody's sick of it. We're all getting to a point where we want to move back. We want to get back to what's real and back to connections. So Barrett had said our modern values really values. That they are. I mean, they are. They're just different. They're different values. And we can talk about that because in order to understand somebody else, everybody has different values, but the world also has values, right? And what we're seeing of these values, let's just take, for example, all of you, just think about, and I hate to bring up politics, but it's an interesting shift in how we were a country of, even though we were divided, maybe, by parties, we still got along. We still found a way to bridge the gap and to talk about things and to understand things. We are not there anymore. We are in a completely different world. And we have understood this in the dating world for a long time, is that people are so politically divided right now. We have to take this into account as a matchmaker myself, as to how you're setting people up, because no longer do parties get along. No longer, and a lot of times these party lines are drawn based on values. More Christian values versus more open values, right? An open value system. We're just looking at, and I'm not judging anybody's values. I'm just saying that is where we are. And so it's changing relationships and how people bond and how people get along, and people's tolerance levels. Like, you look at what has changed. People's tolerance levels have changed. Their patience levels have changed. It's not just with politics. It's with everything. You bring the dating landscape in. Let's just say online dating, because everybody's sick of it. Doesn't matter what age group you're in. Everybody's sick of it. What we're seeing culturally is that the younger generations are moving away from dating apps in general. They were the biggest users of them anyway, but they're moving away because what they're connecting with, believe it or not, they're connecting with things like TikTok, where they're interacting with things and feel more of a connection with people and what they're posting and content. It's a little bit more authentic than the dating sites. So there's been this shift of younger people moving completely away from all of the dating apps, and older people moving away from them too, because of the lack of authenticity. So we are seeing that migration just from technology. This is just a technology thing. The technology thing is driven, though, by people's internal desires and their values of wanting connection, of missing connection, of wanting authenticity, of missing authenticity. You guys feel free to ask questions. I am going to turn my volume down here. I know how good I am at doing that. Let's see. Feel free to ask questions, and I am trying to jump. Okay, here we go. Back up. All right, got a few. Hey, Jim, glad you could make it. And Ron, great to see you. I am telling the truth. It's interesting. Again, I'm a research junkie and started diving into some of this evolutionary, really, change. And the good news out of all of this, really, there is good news. We are changing because we want something more. People are shifted back from disconnection to wanting connection. And it's been an interesting journey, because all of you that are watching could say, and we've all been there because we've been on social media long enough to experience it, or some of you on dating apps long enough to experience it, that the connections that we've made, like people can feel completely connected to somebody on social media and never have met them. They can feel completely connected to people and not have any connection at all. Feel like they have a support group and friends and people in their life when they have nobody really at all, because it's a false sense of security. And I think there's a shift of people seeing that and desiring real connection. So these basic things, are just kind of are the underlying. I'm going to get into some more specifics. Give me a second. I just don't want to cough. I still have a little bit left. Okay. So here's one that all of you can agree with. And I know you men especially have seen the shift and change in this with women, but the rise of individual individualism and personal autonomy. Great. On one hand, it's like, great, women have become empowered. Women are independent. Women are getting, advanced education, actually at a higher rate than men now. Women are in the workforce. Women are starting their own business. Women are getting out there and succeeding. Good for us women. Yay. It's great. In that process of that, women saw and are noticing now that some of those traditional values have started to go away. There's a zillion reasons for it. I can sit here and talk about 8,000 reasons why and how those have gone away. But you think as women become more independent and autonomous and demanding that in all kinds of ways, men have pulled back. Men have pulled back and said, okay, if you want to be in charge, okay, if you want to make that decision, okay, if we're going to, do what you want to do, okay, if you want to decide where to go to dinner, okay, if you want to, decide where we're going to spend our money. And I'm not saying that all women are doing that. I'm just saying that it is happening. It has made some men pull back from courting, doing some of the traditional things that they're doing because they are getting pushed back, ladies. If you can believe it, some men get scolded for opening a door for a woman. Okay. So at what point does personal autonomy and independence get in the way of connection and that role of yin and yang and, leader, follower? I was listening to my preacher talking over the weekend. He was talking about, he has a series of marriage going on right now. And he was talking about being subservient to your partner and how so many women give that pushback that they don't want to be subservient. But it actually, the Bible actually calls on men to be subservient to their wives and wives to be subservient to their husbands. So it's a mutual calling that we're not talking about. And that's really that balance and that the relationships need is that almost that seesaw, that yin and yang, where there's a rhythm of, giving in and, and just leading, following kind of thing. And everybody knows when you find that relationship with that person where it just works, where that stuff just works, those are the easiest relationships. Those are the best ones. Those are the ones that stick because you're sharing and respecting each other's boundaries and values without pushing or pulling one way or another too hard. Jason says, just looking for my best friend that I can call my wife and have so much in common. So much more fun in life doing life together. It's true. I mean, that is what I hear from everybody, Jason. It's interesting as a matchmaker and a dating coach. That's what everybody's looking for. But the key is how do we move past some of these barriers of, yes, I'm looking for my best friend, but my best friend that knows boundaries, my best friend that's going to that's going to give to me as much as I give to them, that is, that give-take balance. All those things have to be there. And this autonomy, independence has driven people so into themselves, having their own relationships, their own lives, their friendships, their bank accounts. I mean, it's just everything's become so separate. I can tell you as a matchmaker and a dating coach, one of the things I saw from the outside looking in, right? It's really hard sometimes when you're the one in it. But some of you girls and guys have so many friends and so many friend activities, you don't have time for a relationship. You'll tell me that you want a relationship. Some people will even spend an exorbitant amount of money to find that relationship, yet they're not willing to give up all those friend things and all those extracurricular activities in order to make somebody else, a person, a relationship, their priority. We have it all messed up. I can tell you right now, my parents have been married 64 years. I can't believe it. And you know what? They are each other's number one priority. They are a team in everything. I've watched it since I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to do anything unless if your mom says it's okay, if your dad says it's okay. They had each other's back. They supported each other. They still do it today in all ways. They do things together. They support each other. It's not a competition. And I think with all this independence, and autonomy, that there is a competition, and then there's this other competition of people having to compete for your time, love, and attention, and that shouldn't be the case in a relationship. So there's a lot of challenges out there. And Nancy says, sorry, not sorry for saying shame on women for not letting men be chivalrous. It is happening, Nancy. I probably wouldn't believe it if I didn't hear it all the time from guys, that, being scolded for doing gentlemanly things. And I can tell you most of my friends and following, they're all for chivalry. They're all for the courting. They're all for that. There's very few people that have ever gotten on my feed that feel any different. So guys, if you're here in this space, you're probably in a space with people that are listening to my show too, because there is a certain demographic of people that really want connection, that really want love, that are really serious about this, and they're not playing games. And this is how they feel. And so sorry if you've had bad experiences, but don't let it change you and who you are and what you do. If you're a guy that opens doors for women, if you're a guy that is chivalrous, don't stop being chivalrous because one, wounded woman didn't allow you to do it, or a few didn't allow you. You just keep being you and move forward. So keep up with your questions, guys. I love them. But just as Jason has said, and I can speak for Jason's comment, everybody's looking for connection. This is where we are. We're looking for connection, but we got to get ourselves out of the way. We got to get our egos out of the way. We've got to get our independence out of the way. We've got to get our autonomy out of the way. We've got to get all of that energy of me, survival, self-survival, selfishness out of the way if we're going to be in a relationship. And the longer people are single, the harder it is for them to adapt into a relationship with somebody else, a connection with somebody else, because they do things their way. They like things a certain way. Even people, I'll tell you who else. It's not just people that have been single a long time, people that have been married a long time. You people that are coming out of marriages that you were in for 20 something years, 30 something years, sometimes even 15 something years. I'm going to tell you something. You guys, many people, the reason marriages end is because it was over and everybody got lazy or stopped doing what they needed to do in order for the relationship to keep working. And you're not going to win anybody over with those same behaviors when you're single. So everybody needs to look at, how am I showing up? What am I giving? And what am I willing to relinquish to have that person in my life? Where am I willing to give up that control and allow the relationship to move in its natural state and me not block it by all the things that I want to do? Okay, so obviously technology, we kind of talked about that a little bit. Technology has a lot of challenges, but the biggest challenge with technology right now, I think, if we looked at it from a big picture perspective, not just a dating perspective, is the false feeling of connection when there is no connection. We think we're connected to somebody, something, people, and we're not. And so it's really important that people look at their social circle, work on their social circle, work on their friendships, work on their own interpersonal skills. There is no doubt that the years of isolation took people back. It took them back in regards to, for God's sakes, I was at the grocery store yesterday and I parked over near this area where people are picking up their groceries. They literally call in, do an order online, and go pick it up. And some of you are having, there's this delivery service that you can have your groceries delivered. I love you guys, but you are the laziest of all if you're doing that. I just can't imagine having my groceries delivered. It's mind blowing. But this whole laziness, it's because we can call our order in and have somebody else bring us our groceries. We don't have to bother to take 10 steps or 20 steps or 30 steps or an hour or 30 minutes or 15 minutes to go into the grocery store ourselves and get our own stuff. Lazy. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm offending people right now because some of you probably do that. But That's what I'm talking about with technology. Technology has enabled us. That was something we had to do during COVID, during lockdowns. We're not there anymore. People, get out, talk to people, work on your interpersonal skills. A lot of you haven't developed them. I'll tell you what else happened during COVID is this division. And this division between people happened. And so then all these political sides were happening between everything vaccine related and COVID related. And so this political divide happened, and people stopped being patient and having conversations with people, and they stopped extending grace to people and stopped being nice about things and realizing that this is conversation is a two-way street. There doesn't have to be, you don't have to leave right or wrong. You can just have a conversation. But we lost that. So there's a lot of things during that time where people got lazy, and they got impatient, and they got intolerant. And if we don't think that this is affecting relationships, we're crazy, because we're doing the same thing. Look at it online. I say it probably every time I do a show, and it's always driven me crazy. I've for years have seen my friends or seen people at, places where they're swiping these apps. It's seconds, milliseconds of swiping past a perfectly possibly good person because of their face. Like, how sad. Then we go, oh, there's nobody good on the apps. Oh, there's nobody, decent quality. No, that's not true. It's that you're moving past them instead of moving through them and finding out who they are and getting that information. Love happens in strange and powerful ways, right? I don't believe that the Lord ever intended for us to find our person on a dating app through a face, because there's so much more to who somebody is and what they value than you can see from a face. So everybody, we've got to understand that technology is getting in the way. We've got to get out of it. We've got to get out of utilizing it, using it as a crutch, and being so dismissive. If you're going to use it, but use it differently. Swipe on people that you wouldn't normally swipe on. Give people a chance. I get it. If somebody's like, 50 years older than you, then it's okay to swipe past them. But just because somebody doesn't look like the kind of person you date, I can tell you from my personal experience, a lot of my people that are married say, this is not somebody I would have chosen for myself. Thank you. That's why I have a job. But having said, when the majority of people that are married now that have been put together outside of themselves, whether matchmaker, family, friends, been put together with somebody that they wouldn't have normally chosen, and they can say that I wouldn't have chosen them, yet they're together and they're happy. It says a lot. So technology is pulling us apart instead of bringing us together. Jim says, do you have a sense that there has been a decrease in empathy and people caring for each other, even if they don't know them very well or yet? Absolutely, Jim. If I haven't already answered that, absolutely. It's that thing I said. It's that these people losing their patience, their empathy, their grace for other people, and becoming intolerant. And it's like everybody's walking on a thin line. And I just want to move past this place where we all are afraid of offending somebody. Everybody's so sensitive, and we're all afraid of offending. So we're tiptoeing around what we want to say and what we really want to say, or we really want to show somebody, and really being ourselves, because we're so worried about impressing somebody else or somebody else's viewpoint or offending somebody. You know what? They're going to do with whatever we bring to the table. They're either going to be right for us or wrong for us. The only thing you can do is show up authentically as yourself, as your loving self, extending patience, love, and grace to somebody else. That's it. That's it. I can't even think of any other way to show up. Hang on just a second. Let's try that again. I got locked out of my notes. But Ron says, offend us. We need a truth bomb. You know what we really do. And at this point, that's why this big conversation is so important, because this is societal, what's happening. And the only way the societal change is going to happen is if we change. We understand it, we acknowledge it, we see it, we feel it, and we say, you know what, I'm going to do things differently. When you say that, you then change your destiny and your future and your relationship status because of who you're being and how you're showing up. So the importance of emotional intelligence. Again, the truth of the matter is even though there's a lot of superficiality to the dating process right now, people are looking for substance. They are. They want substance. They want emotional intelligence. They want something more. And ladies, I say this to you, and I've said this to you for a long time, especially the men. I've never seen men so on point and invested in finding a woman with substance than more than just a pretty face. The guys are moving away from that. It's like, yes, I want her to look good. I want to be attracted to her, but there's more to attraction than just a face, than just a body. It's about emotional attraction. It's about mental attraction, intellectual attraction, right? So all these different levels of intelligence need to be there. And we are coming into a time now, this is, again, good news, where people want it and people are demanding it. And if you're not showing up there, if you're not providing that, you're going to get passed over. You really are. So I'm telling you, the changes are coming. The modern values, they're there. They're not working. People want something different. We're moving back toward traditional values. We're even watching Gen X do it, right? That's the younger generation. I have a brain thing today, but I think it's the younger generation. Is that right, Chris? Is that right, Chris? Gen X is the little ones, younger ones?
Gen Z or Gen X?
Is it Gen Z, the young ones? Okay, so I'm not positive. The young ones. I think maybe Gen Z. Or are we Gen Z? I think I'm Gen Z.
I would say you're probably not Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z.
You're not?
No, I'm a millennial.
Yeah, but I'm the one above you.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. So anyway, the younger kids. So interestingly enough, millennials, sorry, Chris, millennials are the most confused out of all of the, generations. Millennials fell into this time where it's just there's a lot of confusion there. That is the most, where the Gen X's and the Gen Z's, very traditional. Again, the younger kids moving toward tradition. And even it was surprising, even very surprising, that these 20-something-year-olds are going back to chivalry. They want a man to pay for the date. They're wanting to go back. Millennials are that uber independent group. Gen Z. Who's Gen Z? Nancy? We are Gen Z. I should know this. I don't know. I talk about it so much, I've confused myself. But at the end of the day, there is a pullback toward tradition. So what I'm telling you guys here today is get on board, right? Start moving in that direction. The things that we really, really want, those connections that we really want. Gen Z is younger. Okay, thanks, Nancy. Z is younger. Okay, we are X. All right, so we're moving back to traditional values. That's why we're seeing dating apps going out, because people are like, they're not working. They're not connecting me to people. They're not authentic. I want that authentic connection. I want my best friend. How am I going to find that from a face? Swiping a face. It's happening. Get on board with it. You've got to move with it. You got to change yourself if you want to find love. It's just a matter of getting ahead of this slide that's happening, right? I remember, some of you that are on here can remember this too. Do you remember when we were younger And people told us, and Chris, you're going to laugh at this, but there were people that go, every house is going to have a computer. And we're like, no, we're not. We're not using those silly things. Those are way too complicated. You guys remember that? Nancy, remember that? Ron? Don't age me here. But that is it. I'm telling you what's happening. So it's the same thing. Here's what's happening. We're moving back. We're moving back to traditional. What we're fighting is modern values. And, cultural diversity, there's another. I'm hitting all the spicy topics today. I get it. I don't care. But with all of the things happening in our country, there's a lot of cultural diversity and a lot of, a lot of places where we're like integrating new things that we, may or may not have integrated before, which is causing all of us to be a lot more open, or we should be a lot more open to other people, to other values. Not that you have to change I'm not saying change your values for somebody else. I'm not saying be open to somebody else with different values. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is happening. There is a lot of cultural diversity, and we have to be open to it and even more aware of who we are, what our values are, what we stand for, and what we're looking for. It couldn't be more important at this point, with so much coming in and this almost a push or a pull towards accepting everything. But when it comes to relationships, that's not what we need to do. We need to be open to finding love in places that we may not have found it before, but we need to know who we are and what we stand for, which a lot of people don't. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't. And know what your values are, know what your non-negotiables are. I asked these in my new app, I asked people, what are your non-negotiables? What are your must-haves? They're two different questions. Non-negotiables are the things I absolutely will not live without. Must-haves are the things I absolutely must have in a partner, right? And they're two different things, but a lot of people don't know that. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, you need to take the time to answer those yourself, because those are the things that you stand for. And you need to find people where good relationships actually work. Where they function, where they're easy, is when two people are on the same page with those things. That's where we need to be. So with so much diversity and openness out there, and everything we have to open ourselves up to, we also need to know where our place is, what works for us. And so if ever self-reflection was more important, it is now relationally. I know so many people now, though, I can see from getting into my app where people go, yeah, I don't know that. I've never asked myself that question before. I ask people to name 10 adjectives about themselves, and they're not used to having to self-reflect on who they are, adjectives to describe themselves. Difficult for people. You have to know who you are before you can be in a relationship. Why do you think you've been finding the wrong people? When you don't know who you are and what you need, how do you find somebody that meets those? You don't. You just find a bunch of, I use my spaghetti against the wall analogy. You just take whatever comes, you throw in spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. Not the best way to find love. Bella says traditional can't come back fast enough. I agree. I met a traditional one, and I can't tell you how wonderful it is. I am thrilled for you and enjoy that. And see, it's easy when you have somebody that shares those traditional values with you. So it is a matter of us coming to a realization that there's a shift. There were traditional values, then modern values came in. Traditional values, everybody's connected. We have family is our main focus, our main priority. We've moved away from that. I mean, millennials can tell you they don't want kids sometimes. They're not buying homes. They're not buying cars. They're living together out of wedlock. It is a very disconnected, independent, autonomous group. And now, as we get the Gen X's coming in, they are the ones. Whoopsies, hold on. Gen Z? I'm so confused. Gen Z is younger. The Gen Z's coming in. The Gen Z's are moving back toward tradition. And we need to as well. The disconnection is over. People are desiring more connection. We're looking for it. And I have to tell everybody that's watching, from a cultural standpoint, we need to be ahead of the curve. How do we make this curve happen faster? Bella says, how do we bring traditional stuff back quicker? Stay on board there. Stay on course there. Know what you believe and know what you stand for. Be willing to stand for it. Be willing to take a stand for it. Don't settle on those things. When you settle on those things, especially relationally, they will bite you in the butt. Come around as you guys get down the road, and then the values come into place about big things, life, kids, spirituality, religion, whatever it may be, politics. Those things come in. They're going to pull you apart. It doesn't matter how good looking somebody is, or how much of a connection you have, or how much chemistry you have. When you're fundamentally different people, it's not going to work. So know who you are and start moving in that direction. If that's what you want, stay there. It's going to be a slower course. It's certainly not moving as fast as all the technology is. But I'm telling you something else here too. I didn't mention it, but it's worth mentioning. AI is coming, and everybody's seen it. It's a regular word we're all using. We were seeing it on Facebook. They're using it for writing things now. I found it very challenging when I type now on Facebook because it changes my words because it's so smart. And so we're in same with my phone. It's a phone situation too. Everything's gone AI, trying to predict what we're doing and saying. And it's dangerous. That kind of AI can be dangerous. We've got to maintain our autonomy and our independence and individuality and humanness. There are places where AI is good. Again, I'm using it in my app, but I'm not using the open source. I'm using my own, using your own information to help you be smarter, to help educate you, to help your algorithm be better, to help get you coaching that you need and identify things that you need. We're using it for the good and for good reasons and to help. But some of it is just convenience. Some of it is laziness, helping people get lazier. It certainly is doing a lot of writing for people. I know people are writing their dating profiles, I've heard, using AI. One of my friends was putting up a adoption information for a kitty cat that she was posting, and took these long paragraphs about the cat's personality, threw it into AI, and I have never seen anything more cute and clever. It was awesome. Using it for stuff like that, fine. It's totally fine. You're not manipulating yourself or another person, but you're using it to help the creative writing aspect, whatever, great. But it can also take away. So be very, very careful as you're watching things come out now, because a lot of things are being written in AI, and a lot of things aren't going to be what they seem to be. So we're not that we're not going to move with the times, that we're so old that we're not going to move with those times, but just be discerning. Just be careful. Just be discerning about what information you choose to share, what information, how you're utilizing it, how you're utilizing technology, and where you're utilizing it. I have a feeling that some things as we move forward aren't going to be the safest places, and we have to be very careful. That's all. That's all. If we thought it was scary before with all the hacking, we are just getting this. We're getting smarter and smarter, right? Modern technology. So, Cindy, love you too. Love you too. Great to see you here. And Jim, I love it. RI, real intelligence is still the best. You are correct. Real intelligence and emotional intelligence, right? I mean, that emotional intelligence is so important too. And again, the best way to find the person that you're looking for is to know who you are and present yourself that way. Don't change, because you think the other person wants a certain somebody there. Don't change because you think, this is the way people are now, modern values, the way people are. Show up as who you are, know who you are, and let that lead you into your next relationship. I have appreciated y'all's comments today and questions. I know it was a bigger subject, but I feel like we are here. We're at that curve. We are definitely at a curve. We are watching a lot of things change. So we're moving. Modern's here, and it's going to stay for a lot of people. But if you want traditional values, they are coming back. You got to stay there. You got to stand in them. You got to stand for them. And especially relationally, there are plenty of people out there looking, both in Gen Z and Y and millennial, X, Z, Y, millennial, all of it. Is there a Y? Did I just make that up? I might have. Jen needs some sleep. But all of the generations, there'll always be people that will stay where they feel like it's cool. And then there's people that are going for the authenticity. Right now, the world is moving toward authenticity. Relationships are moving toward authenticity. I'm telling you from a data standpoint, a technology standpoint, this is where everything's moving, guys. So stay traditional. All my traditional people out there, stay that way. Keep wanting those things that matter and mean something, because they're on the rise back. And the less you allow the other stuff in, the less you tolerate that other stuff and give it attention, the more you'll be able to shift over to what you want. All right. Super important that you focus on what you want and who you are and stay connected to that. All right, everybody. Hold on. I have one more. Looks are, okay, sorry. Okay. I'll read this correctly now, Ron. Looks are like a shingle that hangs on a wall. It's worth nothing. You'll get tired of looking at it. You have to show up. You are right. You are absolutely right. Even the prettiest shingles, you'll get tired of looking at if there's nothing behind it, if it doesn't mean something to you. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you for being here. I would like to say, if there's any topics that you want to hear in the future, please let me know. And if you want to share the podcast, or listen to it again, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, all that stuff. You can always listen at another time or share the audio. There's a lot of people that don't want to interact with the show or can't be here. That would be just fine listening, not having to look at my mug. So, and I did preach today. Yeah, Ron, I did. You know what? We really needed it. We really needed it. And I need all of you to preach too. I want to see all of you staying on purpose with who you are and what you want and what you stand for, because it's going to draw the right people to you, right? You guys are all on my Facebook page. You look on my Facebook page and you look at the comments. It's all people like you. It's all like-minded, like-hearted people. When you show up as you, other people like-minded, like-hearted show up as well. It's the same energetic thing that happens in your life. So be authentic, be who you are, stand for who you are, speak your mind, speak your heart, and the right people will show up. Okay, love you all. See you in 2 weeks. This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today, and please subscribe to the podcast. Each show, we're going to have new topics and information. If you'd like to find out more about coaching or matchmaking, please go to my website at lovegen.com, or you can find me on my Facebook page, my personal page at Jennifer Stiers.